sure everything's running right. Alright, I think everything's working. Possibly. I gotta check my mic here. Should be good. Okay. There we go. Alright, so got everything going. Got us some music since it's just a text adventure. Alright, probably just gonna read this along as I go. A blast of hot air assails you as you enter the subterranean chamber. The stench of stale ozone burns your nostrils. The floor of the chamber glitters with golden coins, silver bowls, and loose gems, all lit a shimmering orange by the liquid ropes of lava that ooze and drip down the black stone walls like blood from a wound. The cavern is immense, but even from its far end you can see what you came here for. Atop a colossal mountain of gold and gems, he makes his foul lair. Broken swords, shattered staves, and splintered bones alitter with the great mound of riches, mute testament to those who came before you and failed. There atop his riches, surrounded by the broken remains of his enemies, he lies, a great winged serpent with eyes larger than a grown man's head, covered in a coat of red scales, the color of blood and the luster of burnished steel. Azkaroth, the Dragon King. At last, your quest is almost ended. Its final objective is in sight. All you need to do now is the impossible. Kill Azkaroth. One question remains. How? Let's see. What should we go with? Sorry for sniffling and coughing and stuff. Trying my best to get over a cold. Great time to do narrating stuff. Let's see. Yo, let's go bored. Let's seduce. Let's seduce him, alright. From the debris strewn around his lair, it is clear that Azkaroth has dealt with many would-be heroes before. No doubt he expects further intruders to assail him with steel or magic. So you do the unexpected. You walk right up to the massive dragon, your hands open and outstretched in a gesture of surrender. You are less than 50 paces from the great dragon when he rouses from his slumber. The second he opens his eyes, you fall to your knees and prostrate yourself, playing the role of a terrified lackey to the hilt. What is this? Azkaroth rumbles, his voice loud enough to make your head ring, even as far away as you are. He moves his head closer, a question upon his reptilian lips. Why have you awoken me from my slumber, puny woman thing? Woman thing? Oh, there. However doomed this dragon will be, for the moment it has 100 times the strength of a puny man thing like you. But you start talking. I was traveling through your domains when I was waylaid. I was traveling through your domains when I was waylaid and captured by a band of violent outlaws. You again. They brought me back to their camp, where I saw crates full of picks and shovels. The dragon's eyes narrow in concern as he leans in closer. "Go on," he commands. You nod desperately, playing the part of a puny human to the hilt. I heard them talking around their campfire. They said they planned to tunnel into this mountain on this very day, slay you in your sleep, and steal your treasure. As Karath exhales sharply, the heat from his breath burning against your bare skin, you pretend to cower. The dragon withdraws slightly. "Then what happened?" he asks. "When the brigands were asleep, I cut my bonds on the edge of a sharp stone and came here to warn you, Grey Dragon," you respond. "I have no love for these outlaws, and I would not want you to lose your treasure." As Croth leans in, the point of his snout almost within arm's reach. "And why might you want that?" You cringe and try to make it convincing. I was hoping for a reward, Great Dragon," you stammer, laying it on thick. The dragon withdraws, apparently satisfied with your answer. "You humans are all alike. You love your things too much. Don't burn down my village. Please stop eating my peasants. Give me back my daughter." He looks at you again, head looming over you, enveloping you in its shadow. You remember to cringe harder. It's not hard to do. "Tell me your name, worm," he commands. You nod and try to look absolutely terrified as you give him your name. You got a name, viewer? I have one prepped, but let's see if you got anything. I'll give you a few seconds. God, my nose. I'll go with one of mine. Oh, my nose. Okay. "Very well, Axius," the dragon growls. "When and where will these thieves strike?" You take a good look at the cavern wall and point to a suitable spot. "There," you exclaim. "They were planning to tunnel out there on this very day." As Karath turns to the spot at which you point, his countenance turns fierce and flame bubbles from his clenched jaw. Oh my god, it does. "They would try to steal from me." The dragon's snarl is almost a weapon in itself. "Tremble, thieves, as Karath comes for you." With a mighty heave, the dragon lunges forward right into the wall. With his great talons, he tears at the black rock, sending stone fragments the size of oxen flying as if they were grains of sand. With incredible violence, Azkaroth rips at the wall of his cavern, focused solely on rooting out and killing the imaginary thieves your trickery has convinced them are there somewhere. Then, with a mighty crack, the stone above the dragon begins to fracture. In his single-minded fury, the Dragon King continues to dig even as the cracks grow bigger, until, with a thunderous crash and a cloud of black dust, the entire side of the cavern breaks free, sending thousands of tons of rocks down on the head of Azkaroth. Despite being battered, beaten, and buried under a veritable mountain of rubble, Azkaroth still lives. His head protrudes from the pile of fallen stone like a worm from an apple, as he roars his defiance. "Fraud, trickster, charlatan, I shall have you broiled alive. I'll tear out your living tongue and ram it down your throat. You know better than to take the dragon's threats at full value. Right now he is pinned, immobile, and helpless. You pull out your belt knife. It is a pitiful thing as weapons go, with a blade barely as long as your hand, but it is plenty long enough to drive through the eye of an opponent and into his brain. Even if that opponent is a dragon, As Kroth begins to lose his nerve as you approach. You may have outwitted him, but he is no fool. He knows what is coming next, and even dragons fear death. No, trickster, you have bested me, but you need not kill me. I'll give you my half my hoard if you let me live. Imagine the riches you'd have. For a moment you do. You consider the immense collection of gold and gems around you. Even half of that would be enough to buy a whole kingdom. You dismiss the thought when you remember why you are here in the first place. You must kill Azkaroth. What's our reasoning? Let's see. That doesn't seem good for a board. To protect the nearby city, because I want the dragons. What seems right for a board? I mean, reasonably, we've come here for gold and shit. And honestly, because I want the dragon's entire hoard, I feel like that's pretty fair. Does that stupid dragon mean to insult you? You have him at your mercy. Why would you settle for half his treasure when a single thrust of a dagger could win you all of it? You aim your knife carefully and prepare to deliver the killing thrust. Wake up, Azkaroth murmurs, stopping you in your tracks. What could that mean? You clear your head, and once again you ready yourself to bring the dragon down. Wake up, your stricken foe says again, this time loud enough to make your ears ring and everything around you shake. Wake up! The sound shakes the universe. The cavern around you cracks open and crumbles away, and your world fills with blinding white light. Wake up! Your eyes flutter open into the bright light of the morning sun streaming through the window. The light seems to wash over you, a radiant tide burning your eyes. As seconds pass, the light recedes and you see the dark, blurry outlines of shapes and figures. The world around you solidifies into a concrete image. You wipe the last vestiges of sleep away from your eyes and regain your bearings. Looking around, you see... let's see. I mean, we'll go for this since I said I was aboard. Makes more sense. You haul yourself out of your narrow wooden cot to find yourself face to face with a short, punchy man in a stained but serviceable tunic. About time you got up, he says, with a toothy smile, coming easily to his lips. Then again, you're the one that told me to wake you extra early today. You nod. You did, didn't you? John, the pot-bellied man, turns to leave. If you need me, I'll be downstairs cleaning up, he says over his shoulder as he steps out of your room. You take a few moments to throw on your cloak and belt on your eating knife. Then you sling your lute across your back. It's hardly the most well-made instrument ever created. In fact, it sometimes seems one good knock from frying a pot. Still, it has served you well, and its body has been polished smooth over the long years of use. The lute, along with your singing voice and your way with words, paid for your in-room. It wasn't a particularly comfortable life, but singing is something you enjoy, and you can tell a story like no other. You become well known to the village of Forster's Hollow, and the locals came to the Leaping Lion Inn every night to hear your voice. Still, that chapter of your life is done now. You take one last look around the cramped little upstairs room before stepping out into the hallway. Today you are a village boy no longer. Today you become an adventurer. You descend the stairs with your few woodly belongings and your lute slung on your back. As promised, you find pot-bellied John in the large, high-ceilinged common room, the cavernous heart of the Leaping Lion. Broom in hand, he sweeps the ale-stained and bone-befouled rushes from last night into a pile, as his cadaverously thin wife, Kate, strews fresh ones on the swept earthen floor from a bag with her one good hand. John stops and looks up as soon as he hears you come down the stairs. So, you're really going to do it, eh, boy? You nod. I'm so sorry to hear that, Axios, Kate says. She stopped working as well. I I wish you'd change your mind. It may not be silk sheets and roast beef every day here, but at least it's warm, and so Callum's sworn swords keep us safe. You nod again. John and Kate have hardly been unkind in your stay under their roof. In fact, you've almost begun to think of them as family. A life with them, helping them run their little inn, cleaning tables day by day, telling stories and singing ballads by night, would not be a bad one. Still, you know your path lies in another direction, and as much as the Leaping Lion has become your home, you want something greater. I mean, if we're sticking with what we're going so far, we might as well just go rich and famous. Though a powerful patron would be neat. We'll go rich and famous. Classic board here. It is true that your performances have gained you many admirers in Forrester's Hollow. It is also true that you're not exactly starving, but you want so much more than that. You want a big house full of servants to call your own, crowds of admirers to throw themselves at your feet, and freshly baked bread every morning on plates of real silver. What you want, the village of Forrester's Hollow cannot deliver. For such acclaim and wealth, you must seek your fortune in the wider world. You tell John and Kate as much, and both of them seem to accept your answers with as much grace as they can muster. For a moment, John stands there, shaking his head, but then Kate nudges him in the side with a wooden stump and ducks behind the counter. He emerges a moment later with a small leather pouch and a stout staff, as thick as 3 of your fingers put together and almost as long as you are tall. John hands you both items. We don't want you to go, but if you're set on it, we want you to be safe. The roads are no place for a young boy traveling unarmed, he says as he hands you the staff. That'll be a stout enough stick to knock the brains out of any thug who might trouble you. You take the staff in one hand and the pouch in the other. It clinks as you grab it, and you can feel its weight as it rests in your hand. There's 50 silver pennies in there, Kate says. It'll be enough to get you to the great city and give you a little to live off of. Besides, you know the way, of course. You nod, and Forrester's Hollow, the great city, can only mean one place. Kendrickstone. A walled city of 15,000 inhabitants and one of the greatest centers of commerce in the Concordant. It is but 2 days' travel down the Great Road, a shining promise of opportunity for someone who has known only the mud huts and shabby stone castle of Forrester's Hollow. You exchange your last goodbyes. The 2 innkeepers fold you into a long, rough hug. Then, with a final wave, you turn away and walk through the door to the Leaping Lion Inn, onto the dirt road and your first steps as an adventurer. 1 second. Soon you find yourself walking east down the wide earthen road to Kendrickstone. Even as the crisp, cool air of the early morning gives way to the heat of the noonday sun, the trees of the forest to each side of the road shade you from the warmth of the day. Thankfully, the last few days have been similarly clear and dry, which means the road is firm under your feet. You know well enough that a single heavy rainfall can be enough to reduce a dirt road to a knee-deep mass of mud and slime. Such a quagmire would make traveling on any substantial distance nearly impossible. Today, however, with the roads as solid as rock under your feet, you make good progress, pausing every few hours to rest your legs. For nearly the entire day, you walk on in solitude, the sounds of the forest and the occasional flitting bird your only companion. Therefore, it is almost a surprise when you hear the clip-clop of iron-shod horses, and the rattle of wheels rises from the road ahead. Your body tenses as you ready to defend yourself. Who knows what kind of people you might meet on the road? Soon the source of the sound comes into view, a handful of riders leading 4 heavy covered ox-pulled wagons. A merchant caravan. You get a better look as the distance between you and the caravan slowly closes. The outriders are clearly ready for danger, clad in vests of boiled leather, swords and maces belted to the hips. A few others sit in the wagons, children mostly wearing sturdy, well-made traveling garb. At the head of the caravan are a man and a woman, both mounted. You size them up as they approach. The woman is hard-faced and dangerous-looking, armed and armored in the same fashion as the outriders, with a wide-brimmed kettle helm on her head besides. The man is plump and red, a brush of bright red hair adorning his fleshy face. "Hail, friend!" the man shouts as you close to within 30 paces of each other. How will you respond? Let's see. I'll return it. You wave back. "Hail to you as well," you respond. The caravan guard seems to relax visibly as you do. "Well met, boy," the man replies as he halts his caravan before you. "We haven't seen a lot of travelers on the roads these last few days." The woman beside the caravan master keeps her distance. As far as you can tell, she's entirely preoccupied with scanning the road ahead for threats. Judging by her expressions, she seems less than amused by the momentary stop. The caravan master extends his hand to you. "I am Michael of Tornhall, and this is my caravan. And the dour young lady next to me is my associate, Hilda. You must excuse her. She thinks threats are everywhere." "They are everywhere," the armed woman replies tartly. "My comrades and I are merely taking precautions to keep you and your family safe." Let's see what I'm going to reply with. We'll do this one. "How much farther is it to Kendrickstone?" The caravan master frowns as he looks up at the westering sun. "You've quite a while to go, boy. It's been 3 days since we've left, and we're hoping to reach Forster's Hollow today. I don't suppose you know how far down the road that is?" You nod. "I left Forster's Hollow at sunrise today, actually." The plump merchant mutters something under his breath. His head guard somehow manages to scowl even harder. "So the Kurd damns us," she swears, a rather mild blasphemy. "It's well past midday, and a single traveler on foot can go much faster than we can. We'll need to camp in the open today," she says. Michael of Tornhall nods in agreement at his business partner's words. On the other hand, it'd be best if you seek an... Oh, wait. Hold on. On the other hand, it'd be best if you seek to stay the night, friend. The woods are full of wild animals, and a single sleeping traveler is easy prey. Hilde shoots the caravan master a smirk. Oh my god, I'm so confused at how these things are read out. Okay, that's the most sensible thing I've heard you say since we've left Kendrickstone. Actually, there's a good stout traveler's house just up the road, the merchant suggests. We stayed there last night. Warm food, clean beds, and stout walls if you can afford them. It's called the Growling Giant. I feel like asking what are your cards carrying is going to be dangerous. We'll just go with this. "Safe travels, friend." The caravan master nods again, still smiling. "Aye, and you as well, friend." With that, the whole caravan, guards and carts both, grinds and rattles into motion, resuming its ponderous progress past as you continue your own way down the earthen road. Within minutes, the caravan is nothing more than a cloud of dust, and the sound of iron-shod hooves fades behind you. Before you've gotten much further, the sun reaches the horizon and the skin begins to go dark. This late in the day, mosquitoes come out in force, buzzing around you in thick black clouds. Even as darkness turns the verdant forest to each side of you into ominous tangles of shadow, the sight of a large building up ahead, with brightly lit windows and smoke coming out of its chimneys, is welcome indeed. As you get closer and the sun finally dips under the horizon, You see that the structure is a large two-story hall accompanied by a row of stables and surrounded by a head-high stone fence. Sounds of music and laughter spill out of the open windows, and a bright watchfire burns at the fence's gate, next to a crudely painted wooden sign of an angry-looking figure, hung from an iron post set into the gatepost. The Growling Giant Inn, the sign says in bright red letters visible by the light of the watchfire. You make your way past the fence, through the courtyard and into the main hall. The high-ceilinged common room of the Growling Giant Inn is bright and filled with the stink of urine, spilt ale, roasting meat, and burning wood, all the aromas of human civilization. Maybe half the benches in the big room are empty. The rest are filled with merchants, caravan guards, and other travelers, each busy with their own amusements, whether food, drink, dice, or song. You walk up to the bar. Behind it sits the tall, burly innkeeper, idly polishing a bottle of some dark fluid that you've never seen before. You ask him for a bed for the night. In response, the innkeeper rattles off a long list of options and their associated costs, from expensive and luxurious to downright squalid but cheap. How many do I... How much money do I have? I got 50, okay. Oh shit. Gonna go with modest, just in case. The supper you eat that night isn't the worst you've ever had, but it could certainly be better. Still, a bowl of honeyed porridge, a crust of black bread, wow, and a tankard of almost sour ale fills your stomach quite well. That night you are shown to a straw-stuffed mattress on the wooden floor of one of the common bedrooms. There you sit aside your belongings and lie down among a dozen other sleeping men and women. Despite the accumulated fatigue of the day's travel, it still takes you some time to fall asleep, kept awake as you are by the loud snores of someone, still Dr. Know Who, at the other end of the room. You suppose this is something you'll have to get used to as an adventurer. Finally, you are simply too fatigued to stay awake. You close your eyes and do not open them again until the next morning. Despite your initial difficulties getting to bed, you find that your sleep has returned some of your energy. After a small breakfast of black bread, cheese, and more ale, you set off down the road to Kendrickstone once again. By noon, you can tell you are getting close to the city. In the distance, through gaps in the trees, you catch the sight of smoke from 1,000 chimneys. You pick up the pace, knowing that there are likely to be any more inns on the way to the great city. Finally, halfway through the afternoon, you see in the distance a tower of bright red stone, one of the spires of Kendrickstone's keep. You squint your eyes and lean forward for a closer look, which is why you don't realize you aren't alone in the forest until an arrow buries itself in the dirt of the road just a pace in front of you. The choice of music right now is magnificent. The foliage to the sides of the road rustles, and out step half a dozen men. Hold on, let me find something slightly better. Okay, that'll do for now. Something a bit more well-toned for this. Each is armed and each looks at you threateningly, and each is clad entirely in black. You doubt they are here to exchange pleasantries. One of the black-clad men carries an ash bow in one hand. No doubt he was the one who shot at you. He steps forward, expressionless, malevolent. One lone child wandering down the road. When there's bandits about? Foolish. Very foolish. Your muscles clench, your eyes widen, and you feel a bead of cold sweat trickle down your back. The black-clad archer, clearly the leader, pulls another arrow from his quiver and knocks it into his bowstring. Hand over your coin and weapons, boy, slowly. No sudden movements or this next arrow goes through your heart. What will you do now? I mean, we're bored, so let's talk away out of this shit. You know better than to show your weakness in front of these thugs. If you let them know that they have the advantage, you have no doubt they'll press it, which could leave you robbed, beaten, or dead. Instead, you do the unexpected. You puff out your chest, widen your stance, step forward, and all but bellow in their faces. Who dares threaten me, Axius the Mountain Breaker, Arch-Wizard and Slayer of the Dragon King Azkaroth? Some of the bandits pause, one of them even steps back. Good, you have them off balance. Now press your advantage. You point to one of the closer bandits, a woman with a heavy-bladed falchion in her hand. I think I shall flay alive. Your skull will make a fine drinking cup. Amazingly enough, your chosen target gulps visibly and takes a step back, her stand increasingly uneasy. It's amazing what a loud voice, the right body language, and a little confidence can do. What are you doing, you idiots? The bandit archer snores. Don't tell me you actually believe this stupid boy's lies. The visibly shaken bandit with the falchion takes another step back as you take another one forward. I don't know, boss. What if he... The bandit archer cuts her off with a sneer. What if what? The boy is actually a wizard and a dragon slayer? Not unless that dragon was made of straw, you idiot. You take another step forward. But boss, I've heard that wizards can disguise themselves as children and the like. I'm not taking any chances. I don't want to be flayed alive. She seems almost panicked now. You can't believe how well your bluff is working against her. Before you can say anything else, the bandit archer brings up his bow. With a smooth and practiced movement, he puts a feathered shaft right through his wavering henchwoman's arm. She stumbles back, her eyes wild as she fills the air with a scream of agony and then crumples to the ground from pain and shock. The bandit archer draws another arrow. Unless, anyone else feel like objecting? No? Good. He brings up his bow again, aiming directly at your heart. Now we'll see what happens to children who tell tall tales. Stop right there, criminal scum! The black villain. Oh, nice. The black-clad archer turns towards the sound of the new voice, almost by instinct. He looses his arrow, only to see it bury itself into the painted oak of a stout shield not 10 paces away. The shield's bearer is a tall, muscular figure covered in a full suit of steel mail, and a heavy great helm, glittering in the afternoon sun. The newcomer carries the sword and the shield of a noble-born soldier and wears the surcoat of a knight. Impossible! The archer's growling, snarling voice suddenly jumps up an octave. I shot you! I shot you right in your meddlesome heart! I killed you! The knight laughs, a low, husky contralto echoing within her closed helm. You tried to kill me, you stupid prat. The bandit scrambles backward, hands shaking with panic as he tries to draw another arrow. The knight advances slowly and deliberately. The archer looses his shaft, only for it once again to embed itself in the armored woman's shield. The surviving bandits rush the knight, and one of them lunges, a dagger held high. The mail-clad warrior barely breaks his stride. A subtle shift of her footing sends the charging bandits staggering past, and she knocks him down with a contemptuous flick of her shield. Behind the hapless attack, the others stop in their tracks. The knight's prowess has given them enough pause for her to advance on the bandit leader, who has dropped his bow and now holds his dagger before him like a talisman. The bandit who seemed so frightening just a moment ago has been reduced to a whimpering child. If you'd found me in a happier mood, I'd advise you to try to kill me harder next time. The knight jests, the dryness of her tone thick enough to be evident through her helm. Today, however, I'm going to make sure you won't try to kill anyone ever again. The knight slams her shield into the bandit leader as if it were a giant oaken fist. The dagger drops from the archer's fingers, and the knight brings her blade down onto the bandit's head, cleaving skin, bone, and brain. A quick death. With a fluid kick, the armored warrior sends the archer's body tumbling to the ground. By the time it hits the first floor, nobody else is in sight. Nobody living, anyhow. With the bandits gone, the knight wipes her bloody sword on her cone and rushes towards you, still holding her shield up. "Are you alright, boy? Have they hurt you?" she demands as she sheathes her sword and puts down her shield. You shake your head. "I'm alright," you reply. The knight gives you a suspicious look. "Are you certain? I'll not have you die on me because you decided to hide a wound for the sake of Felucia-filled pride." There's pain in the knight's voice. She is speaking from personal experience. You are indeed still unhurt, however, and after a moment's inspection, your armored savior seems to agree. Then it helps you up with one muscular hand. She takes off her heavy steel helm and padded coif with the other to reveal a strong-featured face barely touched by age, but heavily ravaged by scars of battle. She offers you a polite bow as you find your feet, her short-cut mouse brown hair dangling in swear-matted tangles around her head as she does. "I have the honor to be Dame Mildred of Sona Merce, a knight of Kendrickstone," she says, with a formality that seems to sit uncomfortably with her. "Who might you be?" "Axius, from Foster's Hollow," you reply. The knight nods. "Well met then, Axius, and my apologies for not arriving sooner." You nod, though you can hardly see how the knight's arrival could have been luckier. "It would be best if we put some distance between us and the scene. These bandits might return in greater number." You take a look at the short stretch of road around and the corpse of a man who almost killed you, lying unmoving in a pool of his own blood and brains. Getting away seems like a really good idea. However, the dead bandit leader isn't the only body there. Another bandit still lies wounded on the ground, pale and senseless, her falchion next to her. Even a fool can see she will bleed to death before sunset. The question is, are you going to stop that from happening? Let's think. Unreasonably. She attacked me. I mean, yeah, we'll go for this. Under the assumption of with this board, so. You turn away, following the knight who rescued you down the road. You spare the dying bandit not another thought. To live through bloodshed is to die in blood. Let me switch back. Never mind, that was an awful idea. We'll stick with this for now until we get in town. Yeah. After about 200 paces, you come to a tall, sleek warhorse saddled, caparisoned, and tied up to a tree at the side of the road. Dame Mildred gives the horse an affectionate pat and begins untying him. "I suppose," she says, looking over at you, "you were bound for Kendrickstone, eh?" You nod. "Might I know why?" The knight pulls the rope free and begins coiling it up. "I want to become an adventurer for hire." Mildred's expression softens at that answer. "Oh, you know, I did some of that myself in my youth as a knight-errant. Slaying monsters, helping dashing young lords stuck in towers, the like. There's great sense of fulfillment in doing good like that, but the pay is irregular and the food is generally awful, and a warm bed is damn scarce." The knight continues to speak as she prepares her horse for travel. "If you're looking for a way to get food and bed between jobs, I'd be happy to take you on as my squire. It's hard work, but it's honest, and it comes with a clean bed and hot food. What say you?" You think it over. Steady meals and a warm bed do sound good, but tying yourself to a mistress, no matter how generous, might prove restrictive. "So?" she demands as she checks over her saddle harness. "What say you?" "I will need to think about it." The knight nods understandingly. "Of course, take as much time as you want to think it over. If you decide to do it, go to the keep in Kendrickstone and ask for me. I'll have you enrolled in my retinue. Finally, Dame Mildred finishes her preparations. She places a foot in the stirrup and with a single fluid motion swings herself into the saddle. She brings her horse about, back towards the distant blood-red spires of Kendrickstone. She looks down at you from the saddle. If you like, I could escort you to the city gates. It won't be much trouble for me. Part of my duty is to keep travelers safe after all. Sure, I'd like that. The two of you set off towards the distant gates of Kendrickstone. Dame Mildred mounted on her horse and you on foot. The first few minutes pass in silence as you mull over the events of the day. Soon, however, the silence starts to seem oppressive. You look over at your escort as she rides beside you, reins in one hand, great helm carried under her arm in the other. She seems unlikely to strike up another conversation, but perhaps you have some questions for her. Sure. Excuse me, Mildred. Could I ask you some questions? The knight looks down at you. It's only then that you notice she seems as bored as you. Go ahead, ask away. Let's see. Dame Mildred shakes her head. With all the armor she's wearing, even that simple movement sounds like a collapsing pot shop. Normally, the roads are much safer than this. Road patrol is as usually a job we give our squires, to get them used to rough living. This year, though... The knight looks down at you, her expression tinged with worry. We've had more bandit attacks in the past season than an entire year before. All the survivors say the same thing. Brigands in black who take no prisoners. That's why we've got 4 knights like me riding around. Did that bandit back there really shoot you through the heart like he claimed? It seems like a stupid question, really. Indeed, for a second, Dame Mildred looks at you as if you were some kind of idiot. Seeing as I'm still up and breathing, I'm pretty sure he didn't. She looks down for a moment. Admittedly, he did aim an arrow for my heart when he ambushed me, and it did fly true. Alright, now you're curious. If the arrow hit you, how did you survive? The mounted knight simply extends her arm towards you and shakes it, letting the fine steel links of her mail hauberk rattle and catch the afternoon sun. Armor boy, if you plan on facing more danger in the future, I'd suggest getting some yourself. It may be expensive, but it'll keep all your blood and guts where they should be. Well, I have no more questions. The knight merely nods in reply. The two of you continue on your way. You and Dame Mildred continue your journey to the city gates in silence as the afternoon turns to evening. The sun is low in the sky when the two of you finally leave the forest and find yourself a few hundred paces from the imposing stone gates of the city of Kendrickstone. Your journey is over. For now. How long have we been going? I'm gonna cut here for now. I will be back, either, maybe not later today, but tomorrow. So, for the person who's watching, if you want to follow, I'll definitely come back and do the rest of this. So this is really fun to do. So if you enjoyed it, hit follow and something or whatever to so you can know when I'm streaming again. I should be back here tomorrow at the very least and play this. So, but I'm gonna kill it here for now. I've got some things to do. So, thanks for watching though, one viewer, and I'll see you guys later.